Fathers and Families Support Center, next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. Today we're going to learn more about Fathers and Families Support Center. I was thinking of when I was writing this how critical and crucial the role fathers play, but some fathers in certain circumstances have challenges fully stepping into that role. And so this is where Fathers and Families Support Center steps in. They have amazing nationally recognized programs and services, and we're going to learn all about it today. I'm joined by their CEO, Sherry Tillis. Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you so much for having us today.
Absolutely. I mean, your data for the outcomes and performance for this past year alone are amazing. And so clearly the organization's been around for more than 27 years, supporting nearly 22,000 men and impacting more than 53,000 children. Yes. What you and your team, your staff are doing is working and helping the community, helping fathers. And as I mentioned, we talk about so much with parenting, fathers play such a critical role, but sometimes they're in circumstances that can make it harder to step into that role. And so I want to dive into the work that you're doing because it's clearly making an impact. So first, let's start things off. I mean, you've got a lot of these different programs and services, but just what's the overview? When somebody walks up to you and they say, what is Fathers and Family Support Center? What's your response?
Right. So I usually just tell them we provide parenting services and employment placement to parents.
Okay.
However, we do that primarily by serving fathers who may be non-custodial fathers who were never married. However, our services run the gamut. We serve mothers, fathers, as well as youth within the St. Louis community through our Family Formation Program, which is a 6-week opportunity that provides 5 curriculum and 5 staff to work with, inclusive of social workers, facilitators, family therapists, and attorneys that all come together to help individuals to address some issues they may be having personally, but then also walk them through curriculum that focus on parenting, alternatives to corporal punishment, financial education, health and wellness and reproductive care, as well as some aspects of employment, such as soft skills.
Wow, it's a lot. And I was reading about the history of the organization. It was started by Halbert Sullivan in 1997, and it says that he was the sole employee. So talk about, now you're overseeing, you have 45 full-time employees. That's pretty incredible in no more than 30 years. Talk about that growth and sort of trajectory of the organization, because clearly to have that, there was a need, and there's clearly positive outcomes. So talk about how it went from one employee and what the sort of that history, what the origin was to even start in the first place.
Right. So originally, the idea came up through 2 nurses that were working at Barnes Jewish Hospital in the NICU, Sue Breslauer and Doris Steiner. And they were looking for resources to refer fathers to that they encountered in the NICU who had just had children and maybe something happened with the mom and dads needed that support and they weren't able to find anything. At that same time, Mr. Sullivan was actually a master's level student at Washington University, the Brown School of Social Work, and he was also working with the state of Missouri on what's called a fatherhood toolkit to provide fathers with services that they needed through state funding, through the Office of Family Assistance. And they found out about him and they were able to secure a $500 grant from the Daughters of Charity. And that was the beginning. He would actually teach the class during the morning hours and he would go have meetings in the afternoon. And one of our first volunteers was Sister Carol Schumer, who began teaching the parenting class. So he then could get a break for about 4 hours once a week to be able to go and have meetings to help grow the organization. But Mr. Sullivan himself was a father who was non-custodial. And so he actually lived some of the exact same experiences that our current participants are. So from that beginning, we are where we are now, which We've grown to have almost 50 staff and a budget of a little over $5 million.
My
And we
goodness.
provide services throughout St. Louis as well as in East St. Louis, Illinois, and through our partners with the Department of Corrections.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And I was looking at sort of like with the information, just with the mission of to foster healthy relationships by strengthening families and communities. And
Yes.
the vision, every father is a responsible father committed to a cohesive family relationships.
Absolutely.
It's simple enough, but a lot goes into it,
Oh,
clearly.
definitely.
A lot goes into it. I mean, we say it all the time, like, you know, as parents, it's so hard to parent, and then there's all these other circumstances. I want to throw up some photos so people can see what we're talking about and have this all come together. You mentioned the Family Formation Program. That's kind of one of your core programs.
Yes.
And I know later in the show we're going to get into the Employment Development and Mentoring Program. But tell me about the distinction between those two. Those are kind of your two core programs.
Correct. So our Family Formation Program is a 6-week model, and about 75% of those who come via word of mouth, but they actually sign up for a 1-year commitment to working with the organization. When they first enroll, they come to class Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., where they have on-the-hour lesson plans that they go through in each of the 5 curriculum. Those 5 curriculum are responsible fatherhood, strengthening families, which is a parenting curriculum that focuses on ages and stages of positive disciplining for your children. They also have Money Smarts, which is a financial education course, and we have many partners through banks and the St. Louis City Treasurer's Office that help our participants get banked, pay attention to their credit score, understand what that score determines for them long term. We have Male Health and Wellness and Reproductive Care, which also helps them to focus on their own health issues, and informing them about themselves also gives them education about how they need to take care of their children. And of course, then we have our employment curriculum, which focuses on each individual's talent, skills, and abilities, and what type of credential trade they may be interested in, and then employment placement. However, we also have 5 staff that work with our participants. In addition to the 5 curriculum, they have their classroom facilitator who teaches the responsible fatherhood and the parenting portions. They have a social worker, case management, who helps with any type of resource they need outside of employment. And we also have a family therapist who they can meet with one-on-one, or if they are married, they can have couples counseling or something to that effect. And then we also have attorneys that practice family law. And of course, the employment case managers that help them to, focus on what type of career pathway they want to have, and then give all the resources they need to obtain that.
And that's
And
and
it's
that's
an
only
entire
2 of
year.
your programs.
Yes.
There's more. I mean, it's a lot as you're talking, because I think sometimes so much when we talk about from the organization or the agency side, like describing all the programs, not the reverse of that, but the other end of that is like the participants, right? So tell me about like, who's coming to you? Like, where is their mind? What's going on in their lives at that time? Typically, what age are they? Who can come to you? What are their circumstances? When should people reach out for someone to hear this? Because sometimes we hear all of the programming side, which is amazing. Clearly, your team is really, really working hard in a way that's effective. But then on the other side of that, for someone who hears this, who should be coming to you? And what circumstances would they be in?
Right. So really any father can enroll in the program, because the resources that are being provided work for whomever is open to utilizing the skills. More often than not, we encounter fathers who are never married, non-custodial. They may be ordered to pay child support. They may not necessarily be in the life of their child currently. However, they have a desire to have a visitation order and more access to their children. On the flip side of that, it may be a father who was recently divorced and may be walking through that chapter and would like to have more information about what he would need to do to stay involved with his children. And then usually we have individuals who are unemployed, who are looking to just sort of better their outcome, better their career options. And so, we have that full gamut of fathers that come to us, but really there are no restrictions other than they have a child that is 24 or younger and they be 18 years or older to participate in our adult programs.
And we're going to have that information before you when you leave. I know when in the agency side of things that August is Child Support Awareness Month, and that sort of exists really as really for people working in the sphere to sort of not celebrate, but to recognize, the role that fathers play and mothers, but parents play, but the critical role that child support plays in their children's lives. And so I was looking at some of your data, and that your program, or the agency, I should say, helped collect more than 5 million, 5.9 million in child support. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes. So we always lead with educating our participants to make sure they understand child support is not the enemy.
Right.
It was put in place to provide services and resources for mothers and children in the absence of fathers. And so our services have helped fathers to be able to gain employment that will afford them enough to take care of themselves as well as pay their child support. And I guess you'll hear a little bit more about that when we talk about our employment department, but we've partnered with child support enforcement. We've actually invited them in for each and every class that we have so that they can provide the actual information about what they've been established to do, how to connect with them, how to gain modifications in the event that you may lose your employment and not be able to pay at the level that you once did, as well as resources on establishing paternity and how to gain visitation. And so, it's an entire system, and if you don't understand it, you can view them as someone that's out to get you. But the important part of what we teach about understanding child support is, number one, open your mail, read the letter. At the very bottom of each one of the letters, it says if you need assistance, reach out to Fathers and Family Support Center, and we are there to help them to navigate that system, because it can be scary.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There's always horror stories of people who have lost their license or lost some of the privileges they once had through non-payment, and so we're just able to give them the actual information about how they can view child support as well as work with them to make sure that their children are taken care of appropriately.
Well, no, thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate that, and especially in connection with, August being Child Support Awareness Month. We're going to have to go to break, but I want to put some important information on the screen because we've talked a lot about Fathers and Family Support Center. There's so much, actually, when you head to the website, there's a lot of different programs that we didn't get a chance to fully get into in this first segment, but please head to the website, fathersupportcenter.org, follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and reach out to them if you know of anyone who would be interested in participating in the program. As Sherry mentioned, there's just the very few requirements, but the age requirements, but that's it. There's so much. I'm going to kind of cover some of the data points in the second segment, but thank you so much. Congratulations on 4 years as CEO as well. And thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We're going to take a very quick break, but we're going to have more with Fathers and Family Support Center when we return, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Did you know that you can watch STL TV on your smart TV? That's right. With the new STL TV Now app, you can watch STL TV at home without a cable subscription. And that includes our live broadcast channel as well as video on demand content. We have apps for Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. You probably have at least one of those at home, right? But this one is a Fire TV. Now listen, it is really easy to get started. Just find the App Store on your TV, then search for STL TV Now. Select it and click to install. And in just a few seconds, you are enjoying STL TV's great programming such as City Corner, Inside Sports, City Government, and public interest coverage. Or, my personal favorite, In the Kitchen.
My advice to all the fathers out there, they grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
What I love about St. Louis is the 79 unique neighborhoods nestled into 108 city parks, including Forest Park, which is actually larger than Central Park in New York. And of course, the beautiful Tower Grove Park where I'm at now. Oh, the St. Louis Blues. We've got the St. Louis Surge, two-time WBCBL champions. We've got Harris Stowe, WashU, St. Louis University, and of course, the 11-time World Series champion, St. Louis Cardinals. So come experience St. Louis.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today, we're learning more about the nationally recognized programs and services of Fathers and Family Support Center. I'm now joined by Jessica Egelnick. She is the staff attorney in the legal department for Fathers and Family Support Center, as well as Jarrett Kendall, who is the director of employment for Fathers and Family Support Center. So thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I know there's not a lot we don't have a ton of time on the show to go over all the work that you're doing, but I did want to kind of pick up on, in the first segment, we were speaking with CEO Sherry Tillis, and she gave a great overview of things. And I wanted to kind of dive in, maybe starting with employment. So Jarrett, with you, about specifically how the different programs work to help participants gain employment, sustain employment, and all of that within the different, just the different programs that exist.
So within our 6 weeks program, my team always goes in and just kind of assess where people are on employment. Most of our participants that come through the door are usually underemployed. Some are not employed, or some are holding maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different type of jobs. So our goal is to try to find something that they're passionate about. So we try to find them a career versus a job. So we go over mock interviews, we go over different career paths that they might want to take. So if they want to do trainings to uplift themselves to get to another job, we just do an overview of the individual basis to try to figure out what they want to do versus just finding a job for them to be happy with.
Mm-hmm. So we have the photos again, because I thought what was so interesting when I looked at the B-roll that we have, the video, and just going through your website and everything as we look at these, is with the program, everyone's sort of dressed up in suits and everything. Talk about, maybe not that photo that we're looking at, but the ones that are forthcoming. Where did that originate, that idea to do that? Was it just to instantly get in that sort of professional sort of environment? And how does that impact the process and how the program goes?
We're very strict with our rules. So
Okay.
the guys don't come through the door, we have very strict rules. So the last 2 weeks is kind of my period for the employment period. So we want the guys to be prepared to what it looks like to actually go on actual interviews. Even though some of the jobs that they might interview might not require them to wear suits and ties, we want them to be comfortable wearing suits and ties. So by the time they get to the graduation, they're comfortable with putting on suits and ties. The one thing that we do find out is, for people that take public transportation sometimes, they come back and laugh with us. All of a sudden, people are speaking to me more now. I'm getting people that want to talk to me. I got a phone number, Mr. Kendall. So it actually uplifts them a little bit more, and it also shows them a different way for their kids to see them in a whole different light.
Right. No, there's something for sure to be said about that. And over the years, you've been with the agency for, I think you were mentioning to me off camera, more than nearly close to 10 years. Mm-hmm. What stands out to you if you think about just different participants who've come through, or like when you look at this kind of amazing sort of outcome or case studies? Is there anyone that stands out to you, or just in general, what kind of feels most rewarding when you see the impact and the outcomes of the participants?
I have so many, but with me working with reentry, to watch a person that I might have met in prison at one point in time come through my door in the classroom, and then actually see them in the community with their kids and working, and them applauding for all the stuff that we put them through and all the things that we did for them to get to that point. So, I mean, I do so much that it's hard to single out people, because all of them to me are just like, they become your family. So all of them are success stories to me, and they do take it personal when you don't do it.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And Jessica, I want to move over to you on the legal side of things because,
Sure.
I mean, when going over in the first segment with Sherry, we talked about the family formation program, employment development and mentoring. But there's youth leadership and development, reentry project, neighborhood healing network, Father's Rep, all this stuff. And then within some of these programs are legal services. So kind of that's your area. Break that down for me. How does that work?
So we help our participants, our clients, with mostly family law. So what that looks like is child custody, child visitation, child support, third-party visitation, so grandparents, domestic issues. We do a little bit of criminal legal work with regards to child support. But anytime it has to do with either you or our participant and their children or the participant and their significant other.
And so is it part of a specific program, or do you have in some cases, not to say it's like an a la carte service that you provide, but are there sometimes people reaching out to Fathers and Family Support Center just purely for legal needs?
So it depends on kind of how we're funded, the grant. Most of the participants come to us through the family formations, and as part of the family formations, they get free legal services. And what that looks like is we can't represent them based on, like I said, the grant, but we can help them through the process. So that is anything from filling up necessary paperwork, contacting the Family Support Division in terms of child support modifications, hardship requests. We can assist them on some administrative hearings kind of in the background. We can't enter in on their case, to, coming to us before they have hearings if they've already if they've already filed their paperwork. What do I do if the judge says this? What is a guardian ad litem? What is the most favorable visitation plan that you think will help me get to see my kid the most?
It's a lot because the legal system is incredibly challenging to navigate and to even, most of the time it's just because most people don't know all that entails. So that's a huge service to be provided. And so, I mean, at any given time through the different programs, but you said the family formation program, that's what you're working on. What do you think that people don't think about? I think we've generationally kind of come into these areas where people don't. I think more and more we're recognizing the legal side and the importance for fathers in terms of shared custody or in terms of visitation and all of this. What is something, because you're doing this day in, day out, that you don't think the public always realizes in terms of the importance of the role of the father?
So I would say that when one of our participants is on the birth certificate, they technically have the same exact rights as the mom.
And that's in the state of Missouri.
So sometimes our clients come to us and say, well, mom's taking the kid, she's preventing me from seeing the kid. Yes, a court order would be better. So you have a court order to show, the mom or show whoever's trying to enforce the order saying that, hey, I have visitation on these days. But even if you go, before you go to court, if you were on the birth certificate, you have the same rights as mom. And a lot of times participants don't quite understand that.
Yeah, and again, it's a lot to you'd have to sit down sometimes and almost, sort of internet search to know sometimes what the laws are in Missouri, and in certain cases wouldn't necessarily know that. But it's great to know that. And when we get back to the employment program, I was wondering, I was on the site and I saw something about, and Jared, if you could speak to this, about Father's Rep. Is it? And if you could tell me about that particular program as well.
Father's Rep is kind of the in-between. So sometimes when our participants have got done with our class and they might want to come back for refreshers. So Mr. Williamson has been working with us for a long period of time. So 2 days out the week, he has a class from 5 to about 7 or 8 o'clock where he has a gentleman come in that might be in the process of enrolling in our class, or past participants that might want to come in and just have a little time to discuss some things that are going on in their life. So it's a very good segment because that's the way they can stay engaged with the alumni.
I had pulled this quote because when I was watching all the different videos on your site, they're very touching and really just powerful. And there was this one quote that I'd found where it said, fathering is not something perfect men do, but something that perfects the man. And it really stood out to me in alignment with your programs. And I was wondering if you could, either of you, if you want to sort of elaborate that, when you see the full outcome for some of the program participants from beginning to end, and if you stay in touch with them, what they sort of what sort of comes to them in terms of by the end of the programs, like of how their lives are changed?
I'll probably say the biggest thing that I would say is a lot of people have the perception that these men or fathers don't want to be in their kids' life. And I think that's the biggest point that is not true. These men really want to be in their kids' lives, but there's so many different things that are in front of them that makes it hard for them to be in their lives. So gaining employment, understanding their legal rights, understanding what it means to be a father and some of the traumas that they had through their childhood, when this all comes in a full circle, by the time that they get done, now they're becoming a whole man, and now they're able to be back in their children's lives in a different atmosphere.
No, no, I thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's really important. I wanted to highlight some of here. I wanted to do this in the first segment, but just with some of your outcomes, 72% of participants reported increased co-parenting relationship skills, 83% of participants reported increased parenting skills. 75% of participants report increased interaction with their children. So, I mean, the program is working. I mean, when you're looking, Jessica, even with your line of work, what, for this long, the organization's more than 27 years old or started in nearly 28, what do you see as like the key of how this is all working so successfully?
I mean, I think we're helping dads, we're helping families, but I think we're really helping the community. I think when you have strong parents who are involved in their kids' lives, and like what Jarrett said, these aren't dads that don't want to be in their kids' lives. These are people that have had barriers to that. We make strong communities, and we're able to lift up everybody. So I think that was Mr. Sullivan's goal, and that was his vision. It's not just about the family and the family dynamic. It's really about the community as a whole.
No, I think that's a great point. Were you going to add to that, or were you?
Yeah, she summed it up. It definitely, like we say, strengthen the communities. And if you have a family together, of course, the community is going to look a lot better. In the world that we're living in now, most of the kids are wandering around without either a mother or a father. So, it's a time that we are trying to commit these families back together so that our kids can have better outcomes.
I think the work that you're doing is really tremendous, because we speak so casually and colloquially about like, well, parents need to get involved. Well, you should be a better, there's all these statements that get tossed around, but the reality of that is like so different. And so when you actually are putting together, when you have an agency with programs and services that worked and the impact, it's clearly something's working and you are making an impact, like you said, to the community. I appreciate you coming here. I know you're both so busy, and to take time out to talk about we only kind of scratched the surface, but I really appreciate you both being here. Before we go, is there anything else you want to add? Or all right, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, we've got the information there for you on the screen. Please learn more about the work that Fathers and Family Support Center is doing. As we said, Help for Fathers, Hope for Families. The agency was started back in 1997 and was really doing impactful work. So reach out, look on their website. Like I said, follow them on social media, and the phone number is there for you on the screen, 314-333-4170. Visit fatherssupportcenter.org. Thank you again for being here, and thank you at home for watching, and keep it right here on STL TV. Experience St. Louis.